Hey, welcome back to the show. This is Relax Radio with none other than me, Nick, keeping you guys company, keeping you guys entertained on Real Talk, keeping it 100% real right here on Relax. So, yeah, in case you guys are wondering, we are talking about a lot of the things that is happening in the UK. Yeah, right. That's right. That's totally right. And one of these things that we're talking about is, the so called passport, the vaccine passports. And yeah, you know how there's a lot of these people who are against it. And one of these people, Sir Keir Starmer, has said that the use of so-called vaccine passports to decide whether people can enter pubs would be against the British instinct. That's what he's saying. So Labour leader told, that it would be wrong in principle to ask landlords to check customers' COVID jab certificates. And yeah, he said the government review is looking at whether this system could help to reopen the economy in England. So yeah, discussions have been taking place across the nation and under the government's four-step plan. In case you guys didn't know, there is the four-step plan, the four-way roadmap that Boris Johnson laid out. Well, basically, the legal limits on social distancing could be lifted by the 21st of June if the strict conditions are met. That's right. If you follow the rules, if you follow the regulations and the instructions the government has set down, I think by 21st of June, everything will be all right and be back to normal. But the prime minister has suggested pub goers be asked to provide a vaccine certificate after all adults have offered a jab by the end of July. So yeah, currently anyone who gets an injection receives a vaccination card and the details go on to their medical records. So yeah, this passport, okay, could actually mean the information being added, to the NHS app, allowing, the mobile phone users to prove to publicans that they have received their injection. So essentially what this app does is it shows people like, hey, if you go to a bar or you go to a mall, and if they ask you this, you can literally show this proof like, hey, I did get the vaccine jab, so you can let me in. That is something that, you could use this app for. This is the whole purpose of this passport. Well, Sir Keir says that my instinct is that if we get the virus properly under control, the death rates are near zero, hospital admissions very, very low, that the British instinct in those circumstances will be against vaccine passports. And I think that this idea that we sort of outsource this to individual landlords is just wrong in principle. And he also added, this is really difficult, and I'm not going to pretend that there's a clear black and white yes, no, easy answer on this. There is no answer on this. There is nothing, he can say about it because, that's just something that it's the truth. People, although it says that although the vaccine's pros are there as well, the cons are, things like the faith in the people, especially this vaccine passport. A lot of people may be hesitant. And yeah, it just shows, the Labour said that they will look at any government proposal before deciding whether to oppose them. That's what he said. Well, Liberal Democrats leader, Sir Ed Davey, said the government seemed utterly incapable of making its mind up on COVID certificates. That's what he's saying. And, he says that they've been burdening these pubs with, a lot of these extra costs. The idea that, businesses can just openly, open the bar and then bar some individuals and say, hey, you cannot enter our bar because you don't have the passport, the vaccine passport. And, who they've not even been offered. Some of these people actually have not been offered a vaccine, and that's just totally unfair. That's what he's saying. And, a lot of these Labour's Mark Drakeford, the Labour's Mark Drakeford, First Minister of Wales, said last week he had spoken to Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove and the First Ministers of Scotland and Northern Ireland about this idea. Well, the system had to be fair and reliable, and there were practical and ethical challenges to face, he added. And Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has said her government is thinking about forms of certification as the country emerges from lockdown. So yeah, that's just something that they were talking about. And there was this Downing Street. They said that an ongoing review was looking at how testing or vaccination could be used to play a role in opening the economy and would consider the ethical, privacy, legal, and operational aspects of all of this. And, the Prime Minister said he will give an update on all of this, but a lot of people are not really, really happy about it. They're saying it's just unworkable. And, the plan, like I said, is to open the country in June. But hopefully by June, everyone will get, the vaccine. And Mr. Johnson never really said anything concrete as of yet, like whether he would impose it strictly, this vaccine passports. And he also said, previous corona infections could be included if the passports are adopted with a government source suggesting a person's test results could also be reflected. Well, what do you know? So the prime minister said the concept should not be, totally alien to a lot of people, because most of these people have had their vaccines, especially the doctors who've had their hepatitis B vaccine jabs. So yeah, that's something that they have to show. If you work in the medical field, you will have to show proof that you did get the vaccine. And although he stressed such a move in future may be up to individual publicans, a lot of these landlords say, it's just unworkable. We cannot do this. We can't ask people to take these vaccine passports and then borrow a lot of these. And one industry body argued that the proposal could breach equality rules. And that is because some people are ineligible for a jab due to medical conditions, or, it could be that they're pregnant. It could be a lot of reasons, for example, and some chose not to, and some could even choose, not to have the vaccine. That's just one of the things that is, that could happen. And the UK's hospitality chief, Kate Nichols, said it is crucial that visiting the pub and other parts of hospitality should not be subject to mandatory vaccination certification, and it's just simply unworkable and would cause conflict between staff and customers and almost certainly result in breaches of equality rules. So yeah, the review into the vaccine passport is taking place under the plans to ease down England's lockdown with the latest relaxation due, within the week. So when the rule of six has returned, like I said, that your rule of six is already in place and it's happening right now. And one of the things, that is happening is that Wales, the state of Wales, has become the first UK nation to lift a domestic travel ban, allowing families to travel anywhere within its borders. That's right. Now it's easing down. All of this is just easing down. And like I said, there's the numbers of vaccine. There's like 29 million people have had their vaccines. And, it's because of this, Wales is confident that, they've suspended all the travel restriction within the border, though, not outside of the borders, but within, allowing families to meet for the first time in months. I mean, that's a great move right there. And, they said, like Mr. Johnson said in a meeting also, he said, in just a few days' time, I'm finally going to go to the barbers and all of that. And, how he can have a pint of beer and all of that jazz. And he's excited about it. But he said, it's still unclear what impact a rising wave of infections on the continent might have on UK, with the bitter experience showing it could take 3 weeks to show up there. So that's just something that he's added. And, a lot of this stuff that is going on. So the vaccine minister, Nadim Zawawi, also said, people over the age of 70 could start receiving COVID booster jabs from September to protect them from these new variants. So yeah, Mr. Zawi told that the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Jonathan Van Tam, thought that if we are going to see a requirement for a booster jab to protect the most vulnerable, it would be around September. So yeah, these first booster jabs would be given to those in the top 4 priority groups of the vaccine rollout. In case you guys don't remember, I was talking about those age groups, like I spoke about, a couple of times now. And yeah, that's just one of the things he said, that this is, that's something that could happen. And one of the things he also said is, Mr. Zahawi said, and he confirmed, drive-through vaccine sites are being considered to persuade, the younger generation for them. So, so they don't have to be hesitant to take the COVID jab. And, he says, as a scientist who advises the government, said forcing pub goers to provide a vaccine certificate might be counterproductive. I mean, the youth, like I said, it's reasonable to ask the youth to take this vaccine passport. It could even be appealing if they're traveling internationally, but, within the borders of the country, of the nation, well, this is just too much to ask from them. And, even Professor Stephen Reichard, who advises the government, said the idea risk making vaccine hesitancy even worse. So yeah, Mr. Zahawi said that the government was hoping to have up to 8 vaccines available by the time autumn hits. So with several made in the UK, and including one that could guard against 3 different variants via one single jab. So yeah, that's something that they're really ambitious about. That's great to see. And the UK, is currently using 2 vaccines. In case you guys didn't know, 3 rather. It's the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, and the Moderna vaccine. And yet, all of this has been shown to be effective at preventing people from becoming seriously ill and dying from COVID. So yeah, the Oxford vaccine offers a good level of protection against the Kent variant and yeah, which is now dominant. In case you guys didn't know, the variant is dominant in the UK. And early researchers on other vaccines, including Pfizer, suggest that they could also protect against this variant. So there are concerns now, though, that maybe this vaccine could not work well against the first variant spotted in Brazil and in South Africa, but some UK variants too. So they need to be updated. That's just something that they're showing. But still, the latest figures show that 29 million people have received the dose. So far, though, it's better to have something than nothing, in my opinion. So hey, and with that, we are gonna take a real quick break, and we'll get back with this as we go along with the show. And with that, checking right now, in case you guys also don't forget, if you want to download that, you can always download it from our Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. We go as Relax Radio. You can also listen to us online on relaxradio.net. And yeah, with that, we'll get back to some more talk. So check it out.